have access to somebody with information, good knowledge for you. So, that's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy. But we owe something for that, I tell you the same thing I tell the men, that inactivity in Islam is a sin. You have to do something. You can't just leave things the way you find it. In the history of Islam, there's a man, his name is Ibn Khaldun. Ibn Khaldun is in Islam, he's like one of the greatest historians and sociologists. In universities, they usually use Ibn Khaldun as the catalyst of sociological order in the Islamic way. So, he says that anytime Islam goes into a place, into a city, a country, a nation, anytime Islam goes there, it must be improvement made in that society. Because Islam is an actionary religion. Like Muslims have to do something positive. They can't just be there. So it must affect change. Change has to happen because Muslims are present. So if you find yourself in a place, like we're in New York City. In the Bronx, there are some new masjids. All the time, some new masjids popping up in the Bronx. Here and there, new masjids in Manhattan. Here and there, new masjids in Brooklyn. That's very nice. But that's not exactly the way it should be. That's just enough to say that, let's say a congregation comes from Bangladesh. And they come here and they find the necessity to want to be in close proximity to each other and still practice Islam. So what's the first thing they do? They get a building and they start to use that building as a methodology for them to stay close together and to practice their Islam. So in fact, what they're doing is not so much for society as it is for themselves, so that they don't have to interact with the other people in society. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala Muhammad. So what I'm talking about is a little different. What I'm talking about is that there must be changes that the Muslims impose into society just because they're there. Like good business practices, propagation of what is unlawful, like alcohol, and the reason why, spreading, like in the media, Islam, so that it becomes a common word, everyday word, so that people who say they don't know about Islam, they'll be lying because the Muslims are doing their duty by informing the public what true Islam is. So there should be a methodology of that happening, a media that the Muslims control, things of that nature. There must be changes, positive changes. Then you know that you have Muslims in your society. If you don't have any positive changes, that means that the so-called Muslims in that society are not doing their duty. You understand? You can't just be here and make money. You got to put in some action. That action shows what kind of Muslims are here. Just like you go to another city, right? Let's say you go to another city. When you go to that city, the first thing you notice is that they got halal stores everywhere. The Muslims are like interacting with the public as a unit of people. Like the Islamic name is like really big in that city. That shows you that what? Like someplace like Chicago. That shows you that, wow, the Muslims here are really active. They're putting a lot into the society. The things are changing. Like, the people have a different outlook on Islam in this place, because of the way the Muslims are behaving. But here in this part of the city, it's not like that. Because most of the people that came here, and the people who took Shahada here, they're so involved in the city itself, and all of the nonsense that's going on in the city itself, that they're not formulating a united effort to really expose Islam to the public. You follow what I said? Okay, that's enough to tell you that. I had to tell you because this is what I talked to the brothers about today. So my thing with you is that you should get the same type of information that they get. because you're equal to them. See, this in this religion, women are equal to men. So, as far as I'm concerned, from what my teacher taught me, is that until the women become highly educated people, we can't expect too much change. Because they're the ones who actually spend more time with the children. They're the ones who are actually, especially in this part of the country, they're the ones who are afforded more of ability to go into society. Like African American men, honestly, they don't have that opportunity all the time. Especially the Muslim ones. They're scrutinized. Like, they don't let you go but so far. You have to really be like extremely educated person, doctorate degree, masters, in order to push your way through. But generally, they give women bigger breaks. This goes all the way back to slavery times. Anyway, وَمَا تَوْفِيقِ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وصلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وتابعين له بإحسان إلى يوم الدين اللهم صل على محمد النبي الأمي وأزواجه أمهات المؤمنين وذرياته وآل بيته كما صليت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد وصلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Okay, so I was saying to the sisters when I was coming in that I wanted to try and find a way to give you more time. So one sister said to me, tell me your name again. Mike said to me, well, Sheikh, you could give us some kind of reading stuff that we could do when we're not in class. So I remind her that I had given you the name of a book. And it's called The
Four Imams.
The Four Imams. It's up here somewhere.
Yeah, we can pass it around.
Let me see. I have so many books. The Four Imams. Maybe I put it somewhere else.
Is it on this side?
Maybe on the other side.
No, it wouldn't be in there. Wouldn't be in that part.
Oh, here, I got it. Here, this one. This one. Okay. Muhammad Abu Zahra. I'm going to pass it around. You take the name, but remember to only buy that author, because they have another one. It looks the same. It has like a different cover, but it says the Four Imams, but it has a different author. And that author that they have on the other one is against. He's not right. He's not right. The enemy of Islam are very intelligent also. They write things in the name of Islam, and this goes all the way back to the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They write things in the name of Islam, and then they butcher Islam in the name of itself. You understand? Very cunning.
Yeah, they're doing it with the Quran.
That's right, with the Quran too.
With the English version, they're in points.
That's right. Very cunning people. See, so one of the things I do with you in this class is I try to keep you aware of what's going on so that you don't get caught in those traps. And you can teach the children how to avoid these type of things, Okay. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala Muhammad. So, this is your required reading. It's very detailed, and it takes you like some time to really understand it, but as you go along, you should ask me questions. And so that, inshallah, I will help you to be able to, navigate through it. I'm more concerned with Imam Malik than the other ones, because this is the madhab that I follow. But you should read about the other ones too, if you have the ability. Read the other ones, because, had my teacher come here and he taught me the madhab Imam Shafi, then that's what we will be talking about. If he taught me Abu Hanifa, that's what we will be talking about. So any of those are very good. Don't worry about it. Any of those four Imams, their information traced back to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay. The last time we were talking about the wudu, And you know what happens is a lot of times sisters are calling me during the week to ask me questions, and I always tell them to keep their questions for the class so that we can all benefit from the questions. You know, if I only tell one and then, you know, they don't repeat it to the other ones, then that means that some people have lost out on that information. So if you have questions during the week, I would prefer that you write it out, unless it's something absolutely that you have to have today, you know, right now for your practice. Then I will talk to you about it. But then I'm going to ask you to repeat it later for the class. Okay. So we were on page 11. This is, you're in the beginning stages of this lecture. So for the sake of brevity, I'm going to like kind of go through things. You're all very intelligent ladies. I know that for sure. And there's a reason why, you know, I invite you to this class. And, you know, I think you can really prosper from it. So I'm not going to do it like I'm talking to children or something. So look, there's a farid, there's a sunnah, and there's a mustahab to almost everything in fiqh. A farid is obligatory. The sunnah are the things that the Prophet ﷺ did, and there is no question that he did them very often, and so those things became known as a part of his sunnah. Some sunnah are bigger. They are called major sunnah. Major sunnah. Then the other ones are smaller. They are called minor sunnah. Okay? And then you have what's called Mustahab. Mustahab are things that they give you blessings, they give you benefit, but they're not necessary, like they're not obligatory. If you don't do them, you won't get punished for it. That's mustahab. But if you do it, you will gain benefit from it. Okay. So I told you about the farids of wudu before. The face, the arms, the head, and the feet. And the niyyah, always the niyyah. The niyyah means the intention, always the intention. Then they come to what's called sunnah. That's the hands, the right hand and the left hand, 3 times each. The mouth, 3 times. The first time is sunnah. The next 2 times are called mustahab. What does that mean? That means that if you did 1 time in your mouth and didn't do the other 2 times, you would still have wudu. That's what it means. For practicing Muslims, let's say during Ramadan time. During Ramadan time, some big scholars tell you don't use water in your mouth or in your nose when you're making wudu. Because the threat that maybe some water will slip into your throat from your nose or through your mouth will break your fasting. So they tell you don't put water during fasting hours. Doesn't mean that you lose wudu, because those things, the nose and the mouth, are not farid. They can't tell you don't use water on your face, your arms, your head, or your feet, because those are farid, and if you don't use water on those, you lose wudu. You understand? Okay. So, to take water in the nose and blow it out 3 times, the first time is sunnah, the next 2 times are mustahab. To wash the ears, inside and out, inserting your index finger, these 2 fingers, inside your ears, and do it once, that's enough. That fulfills the sunnah. Okay? I'm going fast?
Okay.
You okay? Okay. Because I'm trying to get through this process so I can move on to the next subject. The second, wiping over your head from the back to the front is sunnah. If the back to the front is sunnah, then what's the front to the back?
Part.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. To put the farts in their proper order is sunnah. That means you can't wipe your arms before you wipe your face. You can't wipe your feet before you wipe your arms. So to put them in order is sunnah. Okay. Then the second wiping of the feet is sunnah. The third is mustahab. Then what would be the first wiping of the feet?
Part.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, now.
Then what would go in between the toes be?
So going in between the
At
toes
least one.
is considered as sunnah. Sunnah. At least one time. At least one time. But let's say you didn't go in between your toes. Would you still have wudu?
Yes.
Absolutely. That's right. That's right. So, when they say go in between your toes in fiqh, they don't mean like the people. Listen, don't follow what the people do. Because most of the time, not all the time, most of the time the people have not been educated in these things. So they're doing what they saw somebody do in their country, or other brother in the mosque, or what they consider is the right thing to do in their mind. So they'll do their feet like this. They'll stick their feet in the water, and they'll do their feet like this. And they'll let the water run between their toes. That's not the sunnah. The sunnah is to take your left hand and to go in between your toes like that at least one time. And when you wipe your feet, to wipe your feet with your left hand like this, up to the ankle and on the heel. That's sunnah. That's fard. Second time is sunnah. The third time is mustahab. Okay? You want to ask me anything about this subject? No, good. Now, there's something called sequence in ablution. If you make a mistake out of sequence, you should consider, okay, they're going to give you a rule. These rules are there to help you always to know exactly what to do in your practice. Okay? If you make a mistake out of sequence, mean like you washed the wrong thing first or before the other thing, you have to consider, has a short time passed or has a long time passed? Then they give you a measurement. The short time is whether the water is dry or not on the last part of your body that you have washed. If it's not dry, you can consider only a short time has passed. If it's dry, that means a long time has passed. Again? Okay. If you make a mistake in the sequence, you should consider, has a short time passed or a long time? This is to be judged by whether the water is dry or not on the last part of your body that you have washed, when you remember that the sequence was off. If it's not dry, you should consider a short time has passed. If a short time has passed, you're allowed to do the part that you missed and to continue from there. Okay?
I have a question.
Yes.
So let's say then that I'm wiping my feet and then I remember I didn't do my arms. So now I do my arms and then start to move from the arms forward. Not like arms and then back to feet.
Say it again.
So let's say I'm wiping my feet and then I realize, oh, I forgot to wash my arms, rub my arms. So then I go back to the arms and then do everything after the arms, or just go into arms?
And go back to the feet.
No. If you find the water is still wet then you're going to wipe your arms and everything that comes after it. But if you find that the last part you did is dry, then you're only going to do the part that you missed. You understand? Okay, again. If you make a mistake in the sequence, the first thing you're going to go, when you remember, is, has a long time passed or a short time passed in regards to me being able to fix this wudu? A long time would be the water on the last part that you washed is dry. That's a long time has passed. If a long time has passed, you're going to only wipe the part that you missed. If a short time has passed, you're going to do the part that you missed and whatever comes after it.
Is there
Yes.
a limit on the long time? So could it be like an hour?
No, there's no real limit.
Okay.
There's no real limit. But if it's let's say you're gonna make wudu for dhuhr and you miss one of the obligatories in the wudu. Like let's say you didn't wipe your feet. And then you go to make dhuhr. And you say to yourself, I don't think I did my feet. You got to go back and wipe your feet. But if you left the masjid or the place where you was going to pray and you consider that this is even a longer time, then when you have to go make dhuhr again, you got to also make a new wudu. You can't just wipe just that part. If it's too much time, like let's say if you made dhuhr in the mosque, and then you remember after you got outside the mosque, they say about enough time for 2 rak'ah prayer. When you remember then, you have to make a new wudu. You can't just wipe the feet. So a short time inside a long time is that you're still in the place where you made wudu. You understand? A short time inside a long time is that you're still in the place where you made wudu. Now if you go outside that place, now you go into the shopping center or something like that, and you remember, oh, I don't think I washed my arms when I made wudu. You can't just go and wipe your arms now. You got to make a new wudu. Too much time has passed. Okay? Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala sayyidina Muhammad. As you like. I can go forward. Now we're going to talk about Mustahab. I told you what Mustahab is. Mustahab things are that it gives you benefit, but if you don't do it, there's no punishment for it. Okay? As you like.
But Sunnah is the same, right?
No,
You don't get
Sunnah is not the same. Sunnah is different because Sunnah is something that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did so frequently that he's showing the Muslims that he prefers for you to do this same thing that he did so frequently. So if you avoid doing it, there is something that you will miss. The thing that you will miss is that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam does not have to speak for you when you meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as being one of his people. The people who avoid his sunnah, who don't practice the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they can say that they're Muslim if they like. They can say La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah as much as they like. But what attests to that fact is whether or not they practice the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he in fact will speak for you if you practice his sunnah. And he's closer to the people who practice his sunnah. The more people who practice his sunnah more are the people that he's going to most speak for. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala. Yes.
Yeah, I heard of 2 different words too along with it, but I just don't remember the
Say it again.
definition. One was mubah. What is mubah?
Mubah.
Mubah.
Mubah is something that it doesn't exist in this madhab. Mubah means that you have no opinion about it. You know, it's like if you do it or don't do it, you know, you don't even think about it. Mubah is what they call a neutral position. But we don't you're not gonna get punished, but if you do it, you will get some not mubah, but mustahab. If you practice it, good. If you don't practice it, you won't get punished for it. That's not in this madhab. This madhab, they call it fard, sunnah, mustahab, like that. No mubah. Yes.
What if you remember that, oh, I forgot to do something in my wudu? Is it better to just make that part up, or can you just redo the whole wudu?
That's your choice. But they prefer that you follow the system. Because let's say every time you think that you made a mistake, you go and make a new wudu. If you do that every time and don't look at is a long time past or a short time past and actually use the lessons that you're learning, then what happens is you start to be confused. So every time you think maybe I need a new wudu, you just go and make a new wudu. After a while, if you're one of the people who, you know, I have people come to me all the time asking me, oh Sheikh, how do I know whether I did wudu properly or not? And do I need a new one? And well, I'm just gonna make a new one just because. And then after a while, it becomes so much of a stress to them that they start saying, okay, I will make wudu like later when I get more, my mind is more at ease. And after a while, they don't make wudu because it becomes too much of a complicated matter for them. You understand what I'm saying? So, but once you understand this knowledge properly and you put it into practice, it won't bother you anymore. You know exactly what to do for each and everything.
Question. If a long time has passed, when you remember, and it has, you know, and you're still within that place, do you make a niyyah, attention that I'm just going to
Always niyyah first.
Okay.
Always niyyah first.
Same thing. If I'm making the wudu and now I have, you know, was distracted somehow or another, and I realize I didn't
Whatever it is.
whatever I didn't do, you make the niyyah again for
that place that you didn't do and whatever comes after it if it's a short time.
inshallah.
As you like. You can ask me.
If it's a short time, even though places that did is still wet,
That's a short time.
the other places that you pass the place you go to, but the places you wash is still wet. You should do it back.
Okay. I understand your question exactly. So look, what you're going to do is, if you realize a short time has passed, you're going to say, a short time has passed because the last part that I washed is still wet. The last part that you washed is still wet.
Yeah.
That means a short time has passed. Okay, you're going to go back to whatever you made a mistake in.
Right.
You're going to do that, and you're going to do everything that comes after it. Even though some of the parts will still be wet, but because it's out of sequence, which is also a part of the Sunnah, you got to replace it being in the proper sequence. And so they give you a measure. If a short time has passed, you're going to do the thing that you missed and everything that came after it. If a long time has passed, a mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that He's only requiring you to do what you missed. You understand? This is okay.
But then what I missed would have to be a fault, because that would be something obligatory, not necessarily if it was a mustahab that I missed.
No, not necessarily.
And the same thing if it was
No, not
a
necessarily.
sunnah that I missed.
You don't have to go back and do the other ones. Let's say you miss your mouth, and and now you're on your feet, and you say, "Oh, I missed my mouth." Missing your mouth does not make you miss wudu.
Because that's a
Now, I
sunnah.
started the lesson with
Right.
that. That doesn't make you miss wudu. But you may want to say, "Oh, okay. When I finish this wudu, I'm going to use mishwak, and I'm going to clean out my mouth with mishwak and water." That's okay. It doesn't affect your wudu one way or the other. Because why?
It's not a fault.
Exactly.
That's what I was asking.
exactly.
What I missed, if I miss something, and what I missed, if it's a fault, I absolutely have to go back and
Yes.
repair that.
In order for you to have wudu.
But if it's a sunnah or mustahab, that I miss. It's not
It's not obligatory that you have to do it to keep wudu. In other words, you can have, let's say you have enough water to fill up just this part right here, right? You got to make wudu.
Just gonna do.
In that case, you're going to do what?
The
You're going to
fards.
make the fards only. You make the fards only. Even if you only do them one time, you have a wudu. Huh? People will be like, "Sheikh, you crazy? I got wudu if I only..." Yeah, if you only had enough water to wash the fards one time only, and you can't do the sunnahs or the mustahabs, but you can wash the fard parts at least one time, you have a wudu. If you can do it, if you can wash those same parts 2 times, you have a stronger wudu. If you can do them 3 times, you have the strongest wudu. But one time, if you only have that much water, will allow you the ability to make all of your ibadah with that as a wudu. Now, let's say you only have that much water, but you got a whole lot of dust, a lot of sand, a lot of earth that you could make a tayammum with. What should you do?
Make the tayammum.
No, you should make the wudu one time with the water, because the wudu one time with the water is stronger than making a tayammum. With a tayammum, you know a tayammum? Tayammum is like with dust or earth. I'll show you how to do it later. Anyway, sometimes you won't have access to water. This is a mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you can make what's called a tayammum. But the action of a tayammum only lasts short period of time. It only lasts for the action that you're performing. So when you make your niyyah for a tayammum, let's say you're going to make zohar, and you don't have access to no water. You can't find none. You look around, there's no water. You make a tayammum, right? So when you make the niyyah for a tayammum, you say, I'm making a tayammum for zohar. As soon as you say, Assalamu alaikum or Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, zohar is finished, tayammum is finished. You can't do no more ibadah with that tayammum. But if you do with one wiping with water, you still have wudu. See? So one wiping with water is stronger than making a tayammum. You follow me? Okay. Anybody else want to ask me? Try and remember, because this is going to be the difference in your practice. This knowledge, Islamic knowledge, is only useful when you put it into use. It's like just knowing stuff. This doesn't help you. You got to use it. And when you use it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He send you barakah. For learning, coming out and learning for Him, and then putting it to use for Him, He give you big rewards for it. Yes?
Is the ears, is that fard also, or is it sunnah?
No, the ears, sunnah. One sunnah up and mustahab down. Okay, now we're going to do mustahabs. Mustahab is a clean place is necessary to make wudu.
Okay, question still.
Yes.
So if we have this small amount of water, you do the fard. Is it necessary to do the sunnah, like the mouth and the nose?
If you have the water to do it, it's good. But
okay, so then can you like make the fard first to make sure you have a bed?
Absolutely. This is what I was going to tell you. Right now, I'm going to tell you. Let's say you only have enough water for fard, right? And so you do the fards, and then you say, I really got a little bit extra. I can maybe do some sunnahs and mustahabs, but you only wipe the fard one time. So if you can wipe the fard 2 more times, rather than doing the sunnahs and the mustahabs, it make your wudu stronger. You understand what I said? Because even if you don't do the sunnahs and the mustahab, and you only did the fard, you would have wudu. It would be enough for you to do your ibadah, for your practice. So if you only had wiped the fard parts one time, if you wiped it again, the fard parts, that would make it even stronger. And if you wipe it again the 3rd time, that would make it even stronger. then you would be doing the sunnahs and the mustahabs of the forward parts of the body. You understand what I said? Of the forward parts of the body. But if you want to take that same water and do the mouth and the nose, which are not forward parts of the body, you have to consider, if I only wipe the forward parts one time, but I also got enough money to water to wipe the forward parts 2 times or 3 times, it's better that I wipe the forward parts 3 times than to do the nose and the mouth and waste the water for that, because those are not forward. You understand? Tell me if you don't understand. I'll explain it again. Okay, alhamdulillah. Okay. You okay, Cheyenne? My granddaughter. Okay, Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala sayyidina Muhammad. Mustahabs. A clean place is necessary to make wudu in. I think I was talking about this before when I was talking about the bathrooms in the subway.
Yes.
I can't make wudu in there.
That's sunnah or mustahab?
These are mustahab. Mustahab, a clean place is necessary. You should try to face the Qibla when making ablution. But you don't have, it's like, these are mustahabs of things that if you can do it, alhamdulillah, you can get some benefit from it. But if you can't do it, there's no punishment for it. Okay? It doesn't nullify your wudu. Like today, someone was asking me, well, Sheikh, you know, if I got blood, I'm bleeding from my gums, from oral surgery, and the blood is still, you know, going into my mouth. Does it break my wudu? You know, do I have to make a new wudu? I explained to him, things of blood from the outside or the inside has no effect on wudu. Blood from the outside or the inside has no effect on wudu. It means that if there's bleeding from the mouth and they put gauze in your mouth, then you should occasionally take the gauze out, put a fresh gauze in so that you don't have to swallow the blood and make yourself sick. But it doesn't affect your wudu. Because blood is what's called a najas. It means a physical impurity. A najas. A physical impurity. In order to harm your wudu, you have to lose hadith asgar. It means the spiritual impurity. Things that break your wudu from a spiritual impurity, like passing gas, urine, these type of things. They break wudu, not blood. Blood is considered like pus, a najas, when it's a lot of it. It has to be at least the size of a silver dollar or more in order for it to be considered as a physical impurity, a najas, that has to be removed before you can pray with it. So look, let's say you made wudu and this blood started coming in your mouth. You spit the blood out. Let's say that some blood got onto your garment after you made wudu. If you can remove the garment, you can pray. If there's a lot of blood and you can remove the garment and switch to another garment, you can pray and still keep wudu. You can still keep wudu. If it came into your mouth, if blood came from your gum, you lost a tooth or something, and you had made wudu, you can spit the blood out of your mouth and go and pray and still keep your wudu. Because blood from the inside or the outside has no effect on wudu. It's only what's called a physical impurity, a najas. So, my advice to those people that ask the question, if in fact the blood is coming a lot, then you have to find a way to stop the bleeding before you go to pray. because if you can't stop the bleeding, then you got an najas that you're carrying into the prayer. It's like a lot of blood. Is even though it doesn't break your wudu, but it's a physical impurity. You can't pray with that. Everybody following me? Okay. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Okay.
Now, you said what is the wall from the inside or the outside?
I said that blood cannot affect the wudu from the inside or the outside. If you get blood from the inside or the outside, that's called a najas. A najas is a physical impurity, something that you shouldn't take into the prayer with you if the size of it is a silver dollar or more. Even if the blood is spread in different places, and then you can gather it together. If it's less than a silver dollar, it has no effect on your state of physical impurity. If it's more than a silver dollar, you have to take it away and clean it or take it off. Whatever you have to do to eliminate the physical impurity before you pray. Okay? Yes.
Is that just for blood, or is that for all physical impurities?
No. All physical impurities are the same thing. A najas has no effect on wudu. Ever. A najas, a physical impurity, has no effect on wudu. The only thing it does is, it means that you have to remove the physical impurity before you can pray with that thing on you. You understand? Like, let's say if when you walk in the street and you kick something and you look down on your shoe and you see a physical impurity like dog poop, okay? It doesn't hurt your wudu. It just means that you can't pray in those shoes. So if you take the shoes off and say, okay, I'm going to clean the poop off after I finish my prayer, no problem. You just can't pray in those shoes because it's a physical impurity. Has no effect on the wudu. You got me? Okay, alhamdulillah. More? Okay. Come on, Nisa. You want more? You want to ask me more? You got another question? You sure? Alright. Okay, another thing. You should always say Bismillah or Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. At least Bismillah. So this is more, this Bismillah is more than just Mustahab, but they also included in Mustahab. But when you start to make your prayer, when you start to make your wudu, you should say either Bismillah or Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim before you begin. Another mustahab that is very big in Islam, but the people in this country take it as small. This mustahab is that you should use only the water that is necessary. You should don't use a lot of water to make wudu. Only what is necessary. So when the ulama taught me how to make wudu, they told me you should make wudu out of a vessel. It means you should make enough water that go into something, and you should make the wudu out of that thing, so it's like the water is not running all over the place. But in this country, because people have the impression that there's an abundance of water because you turn the faucet on and the water comes flying out, nobody really cares, but it's still not proper. So you should turn the water down. You don't have to use the vessel, but you should turn the water down low, so that it's not coming out like that. This is Sunnah and Mustahab, that you should not waste the water. Use only what is necessary. So, how do you know whether you're using what's necessary? When you finish making wudu, and you look around, you look at yourself, you look around the area you just made wudu in, if you got water on the mirror, you got water on the floor, you got water on your clothes, that means that, you're abusing this mustahab and this sunnah. You're not doing it properly. You should. That's not a part of wudu. I don't care what the people do. Don't follow them. Because if you go, like I just finished making wudu in there, when I walked in, I saw water everywhere. I'm like, what are you guys doing in here? This is not the way you make wudu. It's like the water is flying all over the place. This is not wudu. This is bad. This is what's called makruh. Makruh. Makruh means something that's frowned upon in Islam. Makruh. There's a lot of makruh going around. You know, this is not good. Okay, as you like.
So you said that to use only water that is necessary is both sunnah and mustahab?
Yes. The sunnah part is the Prophet ﷺ did not waste water. The mustahab is that you only use what is necessary. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barik ala sayyidina Muhammad. Now, another mustahab is to do the right, then the left when wiping. The right, then the left when wiping. Those are the right sequence. To wash the hands from the fingertips and the feet from the toes is mustahab. To wash the hands from the fingertips and the feet from the toe. It means you start with the toe and you work up. Or you start with the fingertips and you work back. Okay? A sunnah cannot substitute for a farad. It stays the same in fiqh, is that a sunnah cannot substitute for a farad. Okay. To rub between the toes is mustahab at least one time. At least one time in the ear is mustahab. At least one time. The mishwak or two stick